Where I would say people need to start is they need to build a cash foundation of liquidity because cash matters for business owners. You're going to go through periods of time where your business doesn't do as well. They don't choose qualified plans as the number one spot for this investment vehicle. And if you're emotionally tied to the investments you're making outside of your business, you're going to be distracted from the thing that makes all the money and you're going to try and fix it.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Pivot to Profit. My guest today is Justin Maxwell. How are you?
I'm great, Pam. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me formally introduce you. Justin Maxwell is a partner at Big Life Financial, a fractional family office dedicated to helping business owners keep more of what they earn, build wealth beyond the business, and create a lasting generational impact. He and his team guide entrepreneurs to scale profitably by treating their business like an investment, not a job. With expertise spanning advanced tax strategy, wealth protection, and exit planning, Justin empowers founders to grow enterprise value and strategically take chips off the table without losing momentum. Amazing. I can't wait to break all of that down with you. But before we dive in, look, if you're a business owner, founder, and you want help understanding where your money's going, would love a fractional CFO support, just go to pamjordan.com. My team would love to talk to you. All right, Justin, are you ready?
I am ready. Thank you, Pam.
Perfect. So tell me, what was your first paying job?
Landscaping, 14 years ago.
Landscaping. I love it. And what did being a landscaper teach you about money? Were you like, yes, money is amazing. I want more of it? Was it like money is evil? What did that experience teach you?
Yeah, the experience subconsciously was that money is evil because we would work on very wealthy people's homes and
Mm,
everyone on the crew would berate the people for their wealth and like make fun of them or like they got it evilly. So like subconsciously as a 14-year-old, like listening to these adults, like that was the association chip that I had. That wasn't the only imprint on money on my youth, but that did have a powerful effect that money was not something that should be earned or sought after.
got you. So you were taught that money was evil because these people had it and you didn't.
They had it, they didn't, they earned it through nefarious means. It was
Mm.
it was lucky, it was done through taking advantage of people, that type of thing. And so my association was if you have money, those things are who you are.
I got you. I got you. So you said you remember hearing that people with money were lucky, lot like they worked hard for it. So how did you reconcile that as you grew up and now are, a partner in this business? How did you reconcile that mindset?
It took a long time. So like that mindset was so there's that incident. Plus, I had one at a church gathering once where my parents didn't necessarily like berate wealth, but I was at church in a very wealthy part of Utah, and they everyone is asking, "What beaches do you go visit? Like, what are the beaches all around?" My family's very middle. We were fine, very very middle class, engineer, both very highly educated parents. But then I told my parents the experience, and again, it was this not necessarily bad money, but it still gave me the imprint that money wasn't good. But also simultaneous to that, like I had like not lost, but all my friends when I was young moved away. Like they
Yeah.
all disappeared. And I had lots of them. But by age 10, I have no friends in my neighborhood left, and I'm the only one that's my age. So like I gave the subconscious existence to myself that if I get close to people, if I put myself out there, that everyone leaves. And then you tied that to money, that was like that shaped who I was. But I had this very big drive to do big things and
Yeah.
do be successful, and those things counteract that. So my solution was to go into teaching and then move through the ranks of like university and become
Mm.
a college professor. I can do big-ish things but it's hidden behind things and there's no money in that. So I chose I chose that as the direction I was going. And it wasn't until I was doing my master's degree that I had an opening in my life for the first time to kind of open myself up to change, where I was like, I do not like doing research. This is not fun. I
Yeah.
love reading it. I can analyze data. I can figure this out. But doing research was what I didn't enjoy it. And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do this as a career anymore. And
Yeah.
I went to an event. I heard someone speak, and it just unlocked my soul to entrepreneurship and that I can make an impact and that I can control my destiny. It didn't solve all those things at once, and it's taken a long time for me to pull all this out. But that event, the speaker opened that up for me, and so that's where I'm at now.
I love it. And so it is a process to unwind all of those subconscious beliefs that we get from, religious organizations, our parents, relatives, our jobs to now become an entrepreneur. And you said it in another interview when you first started your entrepreneurial path, you kind of hid that from your family because you weren't sure how they were going to handle that. So tell me more about that and how that evolved into where you are now as a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, because again, like I had that association, so that was fresh. Like I had gone to this event, it sparked. I made the decision I'm gonna start doing something different. I'm still teaching, so it's like very obvious I'm still a W-2 employee, but I didn't like. I still had the association that if I pursue wealth, I'm going to do something that's evil, right? Or I'm going to move
Mm,
into something that I, because if I associate wealth and money with nefarious means, cheating people, they got it by luck, like that means I have to become that person to achieve that. And so inside my I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to disappoint my family because if I move that direction, I think that they think that same way, and I have no idea if they think that same way. I have no idea. I don't know what's in their minds, but I was assuming that that's the way they think. So I was very cautious of moving forward in that direction because of that belief that money was not something that you got through hard work or
yeah.
solving people's problems or being of service. It was done through nefarious and evil-ish means, even if it wasn't evil, but I didn't want to become that. I wanted to stay my same character, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So, how have you redefined success for you as an entrepreneur, as a successful entrepreneur, and how has that changed your mindset about money?
Yeah, so the redefining has happened as I've continued this journey. Like that was the spark, and it was just me continuing to take action one step at a time, continue to consume more information, and continue to see that when you solve problems in this world through business, you're actually helping people, you're not hurting people, and you actually worked really hard to actually get to that point of making an offer to help and serve someone. Uh, so is what has happened in me is the transformation has shifted so much so that like my entire estate plan is centered on giving people that same seed. Like I don't think like people will oftentimes say you're born an entrepreneur or you're not. I actually believe because I was not like I obviously was not like I wasn't the
Yeah.
person in middle school that was going around selling stuff. Like it became almost an integral part of who I am of just wanting to help people because that's one of the like teaching I help people. I'm serving people. I'm in front like that was a drive but you can do that at such a higher level if you do it through business.
Yeah.
And so, like my estate plan, the way you get access to money is if you do something around business, and we will invest in you as a family for that endeavor, and we'll give you the financial backing to help you pull that off. But so it's shifted so much for that money is evil to I'm actually going to drive you to make more money and a heck of a lot more money.
Yeah. It's come full circle. And, as a parent, you're now teaching that to your kids of money. People with money aren't lucky. People with money work hard and create something and are making an impact in the world, and they can do so much with that money, as opposed to they're evil. So I love that. That's awesome. So at Big Life Financial, you help business owners take chips off the table without losing momentum. Help unpack that for me. What does that mean for the founders out there that are all in on their business? What does it mean to take chips off the table without losing momentum?
Yeah, so here's the dilemma of business ownership. And we'll start with the data. So the data says that 80% of businesses are never going to sell. So, but then you add on top of that that 80 to 90% of a business owner's net worth is in the business. It makes it so that you're banking on this, like you're gambling essentially with your future. And most business owners aren't focused on this. They don't think about this till they get to the end. So they don't even try and make their business sellable. They're not trying to fix it or get it to a spot where how do I make it, build it now or build it along the way so that someone someday is going to be able to take this from me because it's an asset that they know they're going to get an ROI from and they're going to want it off hot off the table. So that data is scary. And so if you're not, even though, but then internally business owners, I got to invest in my business. I got to grow. I got to grow. But they're growing to nothing that will eventually sell oftentimes. Now you can build it differently. It's just a lot of business owners choose not. They just don't know that there's different ways to build businesses. So they're building it for income, but they're not building it for asset value or enterprise value. And so if you're going to build it for income primarily and you're doing that, and you're not investing and pulling chips off the table of your income and investing in other people's company, you're going to set yourself up for where you made all this money over the course of your life. But then when you give up your business, you're back to living a middle class life. So you just went through this arc of starting and stopping in the exact same place. But if you can pull chips off the table, it de-risks the business. So the business is still an asset, but you have now created the potential for financial independence outside of your business while still having this other asset. And now you can focus on doing both, where I can make my business sellable and I have chips off the table and I can grow both simultaneous. It's just that most pull all gas on one, and the results for most people don't turn out as what they would hope it would be.
Isn't that scary? 80%. Jeez.
Yeah, it's honestly daunting for people. And then here's the other thing where it gets even scarier. Of the 20% that actually do sell, 75% of those people will regret it 1 year later. Their identity was tied to it. They
Yeah.
didn't get enough out of it. They realized that that was a huge amount of money that they just gave up on an annual basis, and their assets can't support it. And they're like, "What in the heck did I just do? I would rather go back to the grinding and having the money than not having it." So they regret it. So essentially, almost no businesses sell for what people want, and they actually
Right.
don't get anything out of it. So it's it should be an awakening experience for people that either choose to build your business to sell it, or you have to invest outside your business to create financial independence to replicate what you were creating in your business.
I love it. So, what are you seeing that smart entrepreneurs are doing to invest outside of their business? Because I know that's a big thing that you do. You do a lot of vetting of investment deals. So, what are you seeing entrepreneurs doing with the profits from their business to help diversify their income and their assets?
So, number one is they don't choose qualified plans as the number one spot for this investment vehicle.
Define qualified plans for the average entrepreneur.
Okay. Yeah, yep. So that's the 401k, the SEP, the IRA, the defined benefit plan, the cash balance plan. Those are the names that they would have been sold on those things. So those can be vehicles that can be utilized, but unfortunately for most entrepreneurs, they're told that that is the vehicle for replacing it. And when you look at the fees and you look at the tax situation of those, oftentimes you can do far better by just taking the cash, strategically tax planning around it before it leaves, and then investing it elsewhere oftentimes. So number one is usually when people talk about this, that's where people tell people to put it. But I'm going to shift gears. The where I would say people need to start is they need to build a cash foundation of liquidity, because cash matters for business owners. You're going to go through periods of time where your business doesn't do as well, or there's a COVID event, or the markets gets disrupted. And the only thing that keeps businesses around is cash. So if you have a cash base that is outside your business, or it could be slightly attached, you are setting yourself up for a long-term success. Now, I'm a massive fan of whole life insurance as that cash vehicle, but
Okay.
there's other vehicles out there, but I think whole life insurance is an extraordinary cash vehicle to build that cash base. Once the cash base is established, I'm a massive fan of following what we call it's not what we call, it's actually a academic term, but it's called the endowment model.
Okay.
Um, the endowment model is modeling the way that the United States largest endowment fund, university endowment funds, invest their portfolios. So Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Stanford, et cetera, they invest their portfolios a lot different than you're going to get from Dave Ramsey or just an average investment advisor who is going to use mutual funds and primarily private market or public market. They invest. Yale is probably the most aggressive, but they've done really well with it. About 75% of their portfolio is alternative private market investments, and only 25% of their portfolio is public markets.
Wow.
But then inside the alternative investment market, it's asset class diversification. So they own real estate, they own private hedge funds, they own private equity, private debt, private credit, commodities. So it's not just just one asset class. They're going alternative and going diversifying across all of that. So that's the way that we would recommend people to start thinking. And the reason for this, for the reason this is, in our opinion, valuable for business owners, is most business owners are told just stick your money in the S&P 500 and let the index fund do its thing.
Right.
I think that's better than just trying to pick stocks, because some people do that. But the S&P 500 has a standard deviation of 15%, which means that it's a fairly volatile asset class. It can go really high, but it also can fall very quickly. The endowment model has a standard deviation of about 5% typically. So there's not as much emotion with it. And your business is your primary income source. And if you're emotionally tied to the investments you're making outside of your business, you're going to be distracted from the thing that makes all the money, and you're going to try and fix it. So the endowment model allows you to focus on your best asset while still producing really good results. So that's the way we would uh, tell people to start thinking around the way they should look at doing their investing outside the business.
I got you. So start with a strong cash foundation as the out the gate to have the rainy day fund, be able to make the investment in an equipment or personnel or whatever. And your recommendation is whole life to as that holder of that cash.
Yeah, it's because it's accessible, it's liquid, it's very tax efficient on the access to the capital, and plus it kills a lot of birds with like it has disability protection, it has death benefit. So now you're doing a lot of things with one asset instead of just having that. If you buy a term, then you have to go do like you have to do like four things. This covers all of it in
Yeah.
one. So I like that as the foundation.
Okay, I love it. And then the endowment model, I love that with the real estate and the private investing and those other vehicles all within that portfolio.
Correct. Yeah. The problem here is that when people hear this, they're like, how in the heck am I going to run my business and go find this private equity firm and make sure they're right for me and this real estate deal and this? Like, that's two jobs. So this is where you have to leverage people and start to expand your team where you're the center of it. You're leading the team on this is the outcome that I want and this is what I need to have happen. I'm not just abdicating responsibility to you and say you need to go do your thing, but you're going to lead people that can give you access to those things so that they'll report back to you and you're the leader of it versus most people advocate responsibility to financial advisors and say go do this and produce this result and they have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. You have to step into a leadership role of this is my wealth and this is my money and I care about it, and the reason I care about it is because we're going to have this destination in the future, and now I'm going to lead these people just like you lead your employees to help me get to that destination.
I love it. I love it. You and I play in similar circles with the tax strategy and all of that. What is an unpopular or misunderstood tax strategy you wish more business owners understood?
Oh, that's a good question. So most business owners don't know what they don't know, and they're relying on their professionals who are really nice people. They're probably good humans in most instances, but they will tell their clients all the time that just doing tax strategy is wrong. Even very basic things like paying your children through the business or doing the Augusta rule, like to those accountants, which is far too many in our country, they would call that unpopular. And I don't know why it's unpopular because it's completely defensible, it's completely in compliance, it completely can be justified, and it completely saves you as the business owner a heck of a lot of money in taxes. So the unpopularness of most people is that they don't want to talk about taxes maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
So the way that you solve that problem is the reason you have to change that is you need to meet with your team 4 times a year. So it needs to be on a rhythm of cadence of we're going to meet every quarter. We're going to talk about your tax situation and implement strategies and know what's happening. So the unpopular on the accounting side is that they just don't do it. For you, you have to get over the fact that taxes are a part of your wealth and you have to talk about it frequently. And the only way to solve the tax problem is to actually meet 4 times a year. That's the way I would describe it.
I love it. I love it. We define the difference between tax strategy and a tax professional is a tax professional tells you, oh, great, once a year, go buy a truck or go buy inventory or don't ship out invoices, on December 30th. At that point, it's too late. And then you get a surprise tax bill and you're like, what's happening? Where a tax strategist is really proactive and partnering with you and understanding your goals. And like you say, just a meeting 4 times a year and figuring out like, okay, does putting kids on your payroll make sense? The Augusta rule, all those strategies that are available, completely legal, but for some reason the tax professionals are afraid of, and they scare the business owners. And there's a huge disconnect, and I don't understand why. So I agree 100%. The unpopularness comes from the tax professionals not educating and being on the side of their clients.
So all those things we just said, all those strategies, and there's a heck of a lot more, they all can be done wrong. But just because things can be done wrong doesn't mean you have to do it the wrong way. You can always do things in compliance. So the problem is that they are all focused on how could this go wrong and what are the wrong ways to do it. And they're not looking for how do you do this right and in compliance with the IRS. And that's what business owners understand is that you could do it wrong and you could technically get in trouble, even for the smaller things. But if you do it right and you document things and it's in compliance, you're going to be okay. And even if you are audited, you will have to go through the pain of that, but you can justify it and it will go away with no change. And so there's no fear around tax planning or strategy would be the message that you preach, and that I can reaffirm that message.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk. You say your firm that your business is an investment, not a job. That is a mindset shift. How do you help business owners go from this business is my job, I'll exit one day, to this is my investment? How do you walk them through that journey?
Yeah, that number one is a lot of people are not like, I'll just share an example. I spoke with a gentleman this last week. He runs a successful inspection business, like home inspection. He makes enough money to live and he's enjoying his time and schedule. He didn't want, like, for him to move towards that path was like, I don't even want to do that. I'm comfortable. I have my schedule, my time. I don't care that I do everything. Like, I still have it balanced. I feel comfortable with it. So, number one, not every business owner is going to want that, and that's okay. But for the business owners, there's usually an itch what's inside of them that says, I can do more. There's something here that is not, I'm not reaching. I've hit this ceiling or this plateau of I'm really successful, but I know there's another level, and I'm everything I'm doing organically around trying to get better at marketing, trying to get on more stages, trying to get more referrals or affiliates just isn't moving the needle as much anymore. And my growth is it's still going up, but it's not as high as I want, and I want something bigger. That usually has to be the first spark. And some people have to be awakened to that. Like I was awakened to it when someone hurt, I was just like, it was inside of me the whole time. I just didn't realize that I wanted something bigger and something more. So some people have to be awakened to it. Some people are already aware of it, but that has to be the initial thing is that I'm not satisfied with where I currently am. And our experience is that a lot of business owners in the 1 to 3 million in revenue fall into that mark where there's a lot of business owners in that revenue mark where they're like, I just feel like there's another level for me and I'm not sure how I can do it. And that's when they can start walking into viewing their business as an asset and understanding that they have worked themselves into a job where they have to show up. If they're not there, the business doesn't run, the business doesn't do $2 million a year. If they're not there, they're integral. They're going to be able to make a lot of money from it, but it's just a job that pays them very, very well that they're the boss of.
Yeah.
So when you can now realize and acknowledge that that's where you are, and that the shift to get to where you want to go is making your business into an asset that you invest into, uh, you start shifting and looking at different ways to increase value. And that could be mergers and acquisitions, that could be partnerships, that could be joint venture. There's a lot of other avenues when you start thinking of it that way that you weren't thinking of it that way when you were viewing it as just an income source.
Yeah. And it is a huge mindset shift. It's the working on your business and not just in it. Because a lot of founders start a business because they think they can make more money out on their own. And then all of a sudden it just becomes the lowest paying job they've ever had working for themselves, being the janitor, the IT, the HR, the sales, all the things. That is a good point that at the 1 to 3 million mark, you really need to change your mindset and change your role and be the CEO and build the business to be beyond you. And we see that with our clients as well, that's a stuck point where they're working 60 plus hours, making money, but not great money. And they're still, chained to the desk. And that's not building legacy. That's not building an asset. That's not generational life change.
Right, correct. You're making more than the average American, and this is where the pain point comes in because they can't complain to anyone because all their friends are still W-2 employees, and their friends like you're making way more money than me because they're only making 60 to 80,000, and you're making 200, $300,000 a year, which is great, but you're not actually fully out of what you thought you were going to get to, and you're in this cycle of we call the golden cage or the golden prison, where no one relates to you. You're making so much money but you don't have enough time to spend it. It feels nice for everyone else, but on the inside, you're like, this isn't what I actually want. I want to have the freedom to control everything. And I love the process you said there. You have to go from operator to CEO. And then the level that I would say you should even go to beyond that is you need to go to owner investor, which is where you're actually not involved in the business at all. You have a CEO that's there for you, and your whole role is asset protection and growth. So you're going to look at things from an asset manager's perspective instead of just a business owner perspective. And those people have the time freedom. Those people make plenty of money, and those people are truly creating generational wealth.
I love it. I love it. And part of being a fractional family office is the legal piece of the estate planning and protecting the money for generational wealth. What are some common mistakes that you see business owner make in that legal side of the house?
Yeah. The biggest mistake they make is they think that legal is all that they need. So many people will go get a trust. They'll have it all set up and they think, I have the trust, I have generational wealth. But if you don't, if you just have the trust, again, we're going to talk percentages, you have an 8% chance of creating generational wealth. 92% of people that pass money on have it gone within 2 generations, but about 90% of those people have it gone in like 10 years. Like it just disappears. So the biggest mistake that people make is thinking the estate plan solves generational wealth, and that's not the case. You need the estate planning, you need the legal, but you have to stack things on top of it. So the two things that have to be stacked around it are number one, you have to build family, we call it the family foundation, but family values into your family. So they have to understand why wealth is created, where it's coming from, who are we helping, and we're setting up milestones and mantras so that when the wealth is received, they are stewards of it, not consumers of it. Uh, and then the other aspect of the family foundation I think is important is everyone shoots for, I want to get to 65 or 70 and then walk away. Like they've set an end date to their wealth creation and wealth accumulation. I think the family foundations gives you the permission to set your end date beyond your death. So I encourage people to put 150 years forward so that you're enlisting your family in what you're trying to build. And now the wealth is not going to be consumed. They're involved in the process of taking you to that spot, and then they need to extend it 150 years beyond that. But that family foundation, if you don't have that, the estate plan will be meaningless, for sure. But the next layer on top of that is to do what we just call the private family banking or private family giving. And so you're bringing your family together where no one actually gets access to money. They get access to the ability to use it for something that you determine that is good. So that could be business ownership, it could be giving, it could be just coming together and hanging out. But the family bank on top of it, where no one actually gets money, they just get access to money in the way that you determine it, is the other layer that will make you part of the 8% instead of the 92% that fail.
I love it. So, as a father, now what are you teaching your kids differently about money and the family foundation? I love that terminology. What are you and your wife teaching your kids differently about legacy wealth and how to use this money?
Yeah, so I've learned some things from people. So this isn't novel to me. I want to give a shout out to the people that created this, but there's a man by the name of Rich Christensen. He created something called the Legato Family Framework. I think for all families that are caring about generational wealth, check his stuff out. He does an extraordinary job at helping families do what I'm about to describe to you. But we've created family colors and family mantras and family slogans. We have family values, just like you have in your business. Like everything is related to it, but faith is a part of our family. And so we would like oftentimes business owners will try and like keep their family here and faith over here, and they want their church and their faith to like somehow magically make their children into these great producers of business and money. Faith is 100% needed in my mind, but it doesn't fill that role. You have to actually build the family around the faith so that the faith becomes a part of the values. So that's just an example is you actually have to take a very purposeful, distinctive role of I'm going to ensure that my family thinks and believes this way. I'm not just going to hope that they do. So it's not just going to happen through like magic. It's going
Yeah.
to happen because I inspired it to happen because I made it possible through the environment. So that's like really deliberate dinners. It's at specific ages, there's milestones where the child goes out and does something and with you, and it's connected to this is who we are as a family, and this is why we do this. For me, like we talk frequently around like our values. So, like an example, one of our values is vitality. So we were hiking last week in Oregon, and my wife was talking around. the reason we're hiking is number one, we get to be on an adventure because that's another one of our values, but also we're making ourselves healthier, and this is a part of vitality. So they're in the moment experiencing it. So it gives you the chance to have those conversations. We have a family flag, we have a family symbol. Like it starts to connect to what I would call like people are really passionate around the United States and around countries. Like there's a lot of usually some passion around like country loyalty, but you need to build that same loyalty into your family because that's more important than the country. And that's how you actually create generational wealth is you get people to buy into the vision of what the family's building, not just what the country is doing. So that's how I would describe it. I hope that was sufficient for your
Yeah,
audience.
no, I love that. I love to hear what different entrepreneurs do. I had a mentor, very brilliant man, very successful business owner. And he taught me years ago that he had business meetings with his kids. And that's something that my husband and I have instilled this year, where every month we have a one-on-one business meeting with our kid where we have a budget and they have money and we show them their investments and where their money is going, and they get to make decisions on what they purchase. And I was even just shopping with our daughter yesterday. She's 13 and she's a bougie kid. She was brand name everything. And we were actually walking out of the store and she didn't buy anything. And I'm like, it's different when you're spending your money, isn't it? And she's like, yes, it's much harder because when it's mom and dad's money, she wants this one and that one and this one. But then we walked into this particular store and there were some things that she wanted to look at, but it was her money that she was spending. And she chose not to make a purchase and to walk out. And just the life lessons that come from that and investing in your kids and helping them understand money is not good, money is not bad, money is a tool. And, we're faith-based as well. And so we encourage our kids to, tithe and give to charities and to causes that they believe in. And that's part of those business meetings of this is the money that you're stewards of. How do you want to spend it? So I love that you're doing that as well because it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it 100% does. You got to give how do you learn? You learn for doing. And so you have to give people the chance to do, and your children have to be given the chance to do. And they're not going to do it at school because all they do is learn like information. They're not going to learn that stuff at church because no purchases happen or like it's values being given, but it's different. It's not always actionable to the environment that they're in. So you have to be deliberate about it. And there's lots of different things people can do, and I can share more. But if it's real, this is honestly the reason that I do what I do is because I want to give families the permission to access this level of thinking and this level of. I just view it as if we can solve one family today, and they've got this generational mindset. Their great grandchildren are thinking so much more abundantly, just because like that matters. Like when everyone thinks this way and talks this way, and this is who we are and this is how we act, like the problems that person's going to solve are going to be tremendously different than the problems we can even solve today because our mental blocks and our mindsets are completely different. So that's why I do what I do is I want to give entrepreneurs the permission to make their families world changers.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. What is next for you and Big Life Financial?
We have some very big and audacious goals. In 10 years, we want it to be worth over $1 billion as a company. We're going to have two acquisitions happening, hopefully by year's end, and that's how we're doing it through acquisition. Is the mechanism of doing it. We're still growing organically, and that will always be a part of it. That you have to do that as a business owner, but acquisitions is how that will happen. So that is our next step.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so to wrap up, I've got some rapid response questions. So just answer, don't think, don't explain, just answer. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Profit or growth?
Profit,
What's one business expense you'll never cut no matter what?
marketing.
What's the best money advice you've ever received?
No one cares about your money more than you do.
If you had to start over again today, what's the first thing you do differently with your finances?
Create an automated system so money automatically gets saved without me doing anything.
And what does financial freedom mean to you, Justin?
The permission to leave a generational impact.
I love it. Justin, thank you so much for sharing your profit story with us. Where can people connect with you?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. You just Google Justin D. Maxwell and you'll find me there. You can also go to our website, biglifefinancial.com, and you'll be able to connect with us there too.
Amazing, amazing. That is all for today's episode of Pivot to Profit podcast. Make sure you like, subscribe, and rate. Remember, it's not what you make that matters, it's what you keep. Thank you so much.